little much. We ask that the VNNC refrain from commenting on the issue. The neighborhood of Van Nuys will continue to represent themselves in this manner. Should the VNNC choose to ignore this request, it should be expressly noted prior to any comment from the Van Nuys Neighborhood Council or any board member that it does not represent the neighbors and the neighborhoods of Van Nuys. I think the language is a little harsh.
Very harsh.
Especially if we submitted this community impact statement, by default, we would be representing your interests. Also, the majority of the board is with you on this issue. So, well, given what happened at the last council meeting. So I am happy to mark up this language and come up with something a little bit more toned down.
I want to approve this.
Do we have any comments from the board on this? Daniel Luna.
Ma'am, in the statement, kind of the gist was that you had the community behind you. Do you have something in the way of petitions or something that
Yes,
would?
we have.
Can you quantify? Shh. Can you quantify? Maybe give me an idea of the number. I can't hear because you're talking. That's why I can't hear. I'm sorry.
In a 3-hour period, we did receive over 200 signatures opposing the location at 149.
Okay. Thank you very much for your answer.
Anybody else have any?
That petition is where?
I'm sorry, what?
Where is the petition?
I didn't bring that with. I wasn't asked to bring it, just the community impact statement. But I can certainly provide you with that.
You can send it on your own.
Jeanette Hopp.
Based on what was said, it's very inflammatory. We all know who that was pointed toward, and I have no problem with saying it had to have been me. I have
No, it's
something
the whole
called...
board.
She's talking about the...
Trust me, some of those statements directed at yours truly. The bottom line is, the Constitution of the United States of America, I'm glad you find it funny, Monica, I don't, guarantees me the right to freedom of speech and to express how I personally feel, but also I am representing the entire area of Van Nuys, not just 200 people, but all 170,000 of them, or however many it is we have.
120,000.
I thought we were at like 150.
Because we've been chopped up so much. Bottom line, that's one tiny little fraction. And so when someone says,
It's a bit much.
you're not representing the residents of Van Nuys, it would behoove you to say you're not representing the 200 people in my area rather than the entire neighborhood of Van Nuys. But more importantly, I think that was punitive. That was really meant to be demeaning. And there are a number of us who, having heard that, said we would not vote for it. And that's all I have to say, I guess.
Anybody else on the board have any comments on this? Carino.
Just to kind of sort of put it in perspective, I suggested, George, that if you were interested in doing a community impact statement, then we would allow that. The concern that I have is that that in the past that the village family service are being characterized something that maybe as something that they're not representative, and that's
correct.
And I'm sort of like, I think they're good for the community, but I think that for all sake of purposes is that they're in a R1 zone. And if there was like a group home, that's the concern that we have. Because that's if you change a single family home, I think a majority of people who are single family owners want to protect the single family residents from any group homes like sober living facilities, even hospice care group. I mean, because I'm dealing with sober living home in my block, which it's constantly that you're always aware that there's someone that it's not part of, part of a community. And I understand that, but I don't, and I understand that. But I don't want to characterize Village Family Circus in relationship to some of the other, which, I don't think they are. I think they service the youth and also the young adults that we should encourage them to change their lives and to be better. And I kind of struggle, so, I think we have every right to protect the livelihoods of residents. But it also is like, where do they go? If they're not welcome in, single-family residence, then where do they go? How does planning become part of the solution as far as, where they're gonna move and what areas, and maybe, I don't know, it could be on commercial corridors or on industrial areas to.
Can I respond now? It may interest you to know that there are, from Oxnard Boulevard to Sherman Way, 29. That's where 29 mental health centers and treatment centers are, in that small, tight area. In that area, you also have the neighborhoods of Kester Ridge, Valley Press, Midvale Estates, Chisholm Estates, Victory Park. You have the areas east of Van Nuys Boulevard. When you ask our council representatives, whether it's Paul Pretorian or Mrs. Martinez's office, no one can tell you how many shelters there are. But, there were people that came and spoke last month that have that in their neighborhood. You have board members that have that in their neighborhood as well. So my question is just how much is this area supposed to be giving? At what point do we have any sort of rights whatsoever, And I have to say that I find it very offensive that when we make a statement, that words are put in my mouth when I haven't even said anything, and this is the problem that we continuously have with the Van Nuys Neighborhood Council and why our confidence and trust is at best fractured. We don't need a comment on every single topic from certain individuals on the board. And we've discussed this many times. That's why the meetings run sometimes till midnight, and any efficient meeting should be finished within the community in a matter of 2.5 hours, because people also have other responsibilities, The community, can easily secure more signatures if you want. That was within a 3-hour period. If you want more, I'll get you more, because we are not alone in this, And let me also say, it takes only 50 signatures to nullify the neighborhood council board. So I just want you to know that as well.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Lynn Mello. I spoke last month as well. I applaud Monica for her, fortitude on this subject. I've also met with Charles about this issue. I've lived in this neighborhood. I lived on Saloma for 10 years. I'm 5 houses away from this proposed halfway house. I was on the email where George asked us to come up with the language. Monica did that. I also felt that it was not quite the right language. And because I did feel that after last month that you did understand that we were opposed to this in our neighborhood. After reading what Charles put out, I really hope that this is, a great situation for this house. It's already been purchased. We can't, like I said, We can't choose our neighbors. You could help choose our neighbors. But my fear is this infiltration, this subversive infiltration. They bought the house in 18 days. You know, we don't know how it's financed. It's already there. So, you know, we can't stop that. We can't stop that, how many people are in this house. Next, Charles is our representative from Village Family Services, is going to try to, you know, be represented on the board perhaps. They're going to try to change the zoning perhaps. You know, it's just going to be this constant little pounding. I haven't gotten involved in this neighborhood council, this neighborhood stuff in the 10 years I've lived there, and now it's like taking a lot of time. And it's just, you know, do we have to constantly be fighting these little subversive, you know, well, we're allowing it here. Well, you know, it's a great organization, so now we're going to allow it there. It's just infiltrating our neighborhood, and we can't prove that it's for the better. So that's my fears.
Yeah, let me call on Penny, but just one comment here. There's no way that the Van Nuys Neighborhood Council is going to approve language saying that we don't represent the community in an impact statement when we would be representing your interests. And we're all on the same, most of us are on we're on the same side of this issue, and we're arguing over, I mean, we have, hold on. You want us to approve language that says the communities of interest have no confidence or trust in the VNNC. You want the VNNC to approve language saying that you have no confidence in us. That's a bit much.
It was not our impression from the November meeting.
Okay.
You know, if you want to change that.
No, I mean,
you go ahead and.
I'm telling you, it's going to be hard to get that language out of this council. That we don't represent the people in the very act of representing you and being on the same side of the issue with you.
You go ahead and email me the changes.
No, or we can mark it up. We,
And I will-
the former assemblywoman knows you go through and you mark it up and you go through this and you go back and forth and the whole bit. But you can see where I'm coming from, that it would be hard for the VNNC to approve language saying that we're horrible, terrible people, you know? It makes sense a little bit.
terrible people.
Well, I might be a terrible person, but you're not that bad, Joseph. Don't listen to what the kids at school say
We're
about
not
you.
gonna tell you.
Penelope is recognized. Penelope.
I gotta go.
Penelope is recognized.
Charles, I came and visited your place. I think it is a wonderful place. And as I said at the planning and land use meeting, I applaud you for the work you do. But you have to understand that Van Nuys has been placed in a terrible position by having so many of these concentrated in one area. You are a gracious guy, and I love your program. I just don't approve of one more of these.
In the neighborhood.
It's just very difficult because from my house to this area is 10 blocks, and I have 10 of them. 4 of them in one little driveway. And there are parole searches there, and it's become a big burden. There's a difference. And so with that said, I commend your program. The place is immaculate. It's lovely. You're an honorable guy, but I just don't approve of any more of these in our neighborhood. I just didn't feel that maybe this is your first project and it wasn't, the outreach wasn't done to the neighborhood to get our input first. I think that would have been
Quiet,
the
please.
first step. And I realize this might have been your first project, so you learn from me. We would love to work with you on other Stacy would love to volunteer. So I think you're a good guy and I like your project, but just we've had enough.
No, thank you. May I?
Of course you can, Mr. Robbins. Please do.
So thank you, and I get it. I mean, I get it. We get it. We totally understand. You know, when we acquired the home, you don't know all of the little details and the nuances that happen in a community. And I so appreciate what they've been able to tell and explain and do it in a rational way. The one thing that I was disappointed with, and it's just because I represent a really marginalized community, Krista and I and the Village Family Services, are foster youth, the transition age youth who get bounced from house to house to house. So we have a passion, and our passion is that we want to make sure, we want to prevent homelessness by ensuring that young people who are exiting the child welfare system have an opportunity to save some money and get some life skills and find them the appropriate kind of housing that they need to be successful in life. That's our goal, and that's what we do. And I get where the conflict is, especially with, and it's unfortunate, sober living homes have unfortunately tarnished the kind of programs that really work. We believe that a home environment is the proper environment for a young person and not a apartment where they're disconnected and they may end up going down the wrong path. But in a supervised scenario, they have a better opportunity. We're not seeking a variance. We've heard from the community, and what we would like to do is to have a small program with the supervised, with young people who, for the 6 occupants, and be able to prove that these are well-behaved, well-mannered young people who are working towards self-sufficiency and be able to do a very refined program. We would encourage the neighborhood to get involved, to mentor young people, to be there for them, and work with you all in that regard.
How many programs at this time do you have?
Well, we have 800, we have foster homes all.
But in the Van Nuys area, how many do you have?
We have, I think we have 3 foster homes in the vicinity here.
And how are they doing?
Those foster homes are doing great. We do have no write-ups with, but that's a different scenario. The foster, because the foster parent is a volunteer, where this would be a paid individual. So that's the difference.
I have a card.
But it's made of the concept is the same.
Yes, yes, correct.
Charles, I just,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm
No,
sorry.
no, yes,
I would just like to be clear that you're not asking for a variance change, is that what I'm understanding?
Correct.
Okay.
We hear you.
Okay.
We hear you loud and clear.
Let's go Penelope, then Candido.
Well, I actually have the same question as Kat did that about the variance. So I guess you were asking for a variance originally because you wanted 10, and now you've paired it to 6, so you don't need a variance, correct? Okay.
Because we want to prove to you that that what we do in the community is a benefit and an overall, we want to be a part of the community. We are a part of the community. The Village Family Services has a really, an incredible amount of dedication. Our staff are so dedicated to making sure that our young people are getting the most appropriate service. We go way beyond the call of duty. Everything that we will do in that particular property, because it's going to be 80s. People are going to be expecting nothing but brilliance out of it. We would make sure that that would happen.
Let's go Candy, then Monica.
Thank you,
And
Mr.
me
You know,
too.
we
And
have
then
the same
Donna.
goal. We understand your goal. We feel for what you're doing. We want to support you in that. When you say you're not going to ask for a variance, is that going to be just for this year? How about next year? How about, are you willing to commit to say, I will never ask for a variance, so that we know that you're going to be only able to handle so many people in that spot? Marie, I don't interrupt you. Can you let me speak, please? So I'm asking you, sir, what I'm asking you is, see, Van Nuys has been beaten up over and over again. What I did is I went online and I checked with some of the departments to see how these, your program and others are spread out through the city of Los Angeles. And over again, Van Nuys is targeted. And it's not that, maybe it's because they just feel Van Nuys deserves it, or Van Nuys just looks like the right community to put these places. We all want to help you. No one knows better than I what you're doing, because you are helping change lives. But the fact is, you can't keep coming to Van Nuys and expecting them to just turn the other cheek and say, all right, we're going to go ahead, even though you have a great program. You have a great program. But again, are you going to make a commitment here that you'll never ask for the variance on that for the next for as long as you're there.
I myself, I can't make that guarantee.
And they could ask for one next year.
Yeah.
Monica, just a question before, is the neighborhood okay with the 6 and the variance change that they're asking for? Or we're at a zero sum, we don't want them, no can do?
I would have to email, because truthfully, Lynn was the only one that had a question on the email that was sent out.
But, I mean, could you guys coexist with just the normal law as it is right now with 6 being in
I
there?
will tell you, George, I spent a great deal of time on the neighborhood watch in my area. We are pummeled with the prostitution issue. We've got gang graffiti. I myself picked up a mass of boards, had an old television set that has been there forever, removed, you know. It takes a great deal of my time, and then also, you know, to find out from the county Department of Mental Health that this was purchased back in October, I believe, but the funds were allocated in June to Village Family Services, and there was no outreach whatsoever to the community. That's very hard for us to take. We have these shelters, I know of some on Victory, on Kester, Van Owen, you know, we're surrounded, you know, with these things. So for me, I do not speak, you know, just blanketly. I send out things to the entire email list.
No, I understand.
So for me to say yes, I think would be inappropriate. If you wish to change the wording and you...
Well, I mean, just from what I gather, you probably could get this neighborhood council to support the beginning part of the language with the unhealthy concentration of mental health centers and shelters. Everybody on this council knows that Van Nuys is saturated with this. It's a proven fact. It's not something we just say. Statistically speaking, Van Nuys has more of these than any other neighborhood in the city of Los Angeles. So minus the inflammatory language about us not representing the people, the first part of the community impact statement, I think, could fly through this council. But also, why everyone's in the room and we're trying to mitigate this issue, if it's just the 6 that it's at right now, is it possible that your neighborhood could support what Mr. Robbins is doing?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's fair enough.
But I will put out that email. The other thing too is, we were told at one point that this was going to be the cream of the crop of a program. They had gone through a program and they need some help to save money and in order to get their own apartment and all. Well, I have to tell you, the Department of Mental Health tells us that the funding was for an emergency shelter. And an emergency shelter, they told us, it's 29 days max that they will be there. You know, so these are the things that really want to communicate.
May I clarify that? That is a contract called EEST. We don't have a contract with DMH for EEST.
What,
We don't.
given the private property rights we have in America and the fact that Charles and his group can buy the home and have the 6 in there, what kind of resolution can we come up with between the neighborhood you represent and what Mr. Robbins does? I mean, is there anything besides just we don't want him in there at all? I mean, the other 3 homes, Charles and Van Nuys, the other 3 homes in Van Nuys, do you have any problems with the neighbors around there? And is it the same exact kind of program?
No,
No.
those are, so the foster parents are volunteers.
Okay.
So the difference is this would be a paid individual in this home versus a volunteer parent.
Is that better?
For us it is, because it's a more structured program.
Okay.
Explain what kind it is, because they keep ignoring what you've said 100 times. They keep saying halfway house, And it says right here, plain as day in black and white, the program is not a halfway house. It is to prevent youth from being homeless, and they're not criminals.
They're 18 to
You're
24,
comparing
are they not?
apples and
Yeah.
oranges.
Okay.
They're foster care kids who did good in school, who are not criminals, they're not coming out of jail, they don't have probation officers or parole officers, they are not criminals, and they're not mentally ill either.
Right.
Please.
I did want to say, we don't do substance abuse services, so that's not our service provision, we're not a substance abuse provider. So halfway houses, the term halfway house is often associated with substance abuse recovery programs, and that's not what this is.
Donna Pearman, you had a speaker part in.
Okay, I want to speak up for this thing. We really needed that push where these kids can be really productive, from going to a little bit of trouble to very productive. And it's got to be somewhere. I'm sorry that there's a lot of mental health centers and all the ones got saturated, but that doesn't mean that you have to go against one that's good. These will be kids that won't do graffiti. These will now be kids that won't be doing shoplifting, going through that because they'll have a purpose in life. Therefore, and
Okay,
you guys have
thank
a
you,
lot
Donna.
more than
Penny,
200.
thank you,
If you want to
Donna.
go through, you better find
Penny
out
and Daniel.
exactly how people feel.
My problem is they all start out good, but they don't always end up good, and then we're left with the remains of the problem. I have parole searches after 4 months by me every 6 months. And I was told they were people with little mental illnesses. And I have parole searches because they've just all been let out of jail.
That's not what this is.
So I realize that's not what Charles' program is,
They would be removed.
but I think that we need to start really looking at Van Nuys for some better alternatives. This needs to be spread far and wide. Like Monica was saying, the marijuana cases need to be shared in this city. And the same with all of these social services. We have the brunt of this. And it's painful sometimes. It's a lot of work. And kids screw up and it'll happen and then there'll be an uproar. As much as we like to say it won't happen, kids will be kids. It happens.
All right,
Go to
Again,
Daniel.
Charles,
I'll go Mr. Luna and then the nice lady next to Monica.
So I don't really have a comment on it, because the seat that I hold, regardless of my personal opinions, is as a representative of the Van Nuys neighborhood. So just to maintain integrity of the process, what we're really dealing with here is the language of the community impact statement. So I'm gonna throw out a crazy idea. If we could just deal with, let's not focus on the issue. If we could just deal with the language, so we don't get out of here at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
If we could do that.
I was hoping to set a new record. We were at midnight in November.
We're on track.
I'd
set
like
a
to
new
see
record.
us here till Thursday. No, I'm happy with
We
that.
could just stay here till the homeless summit, and that'd be fine. Hold on a minute.
It's a
Which Mr.
possibility.
Robbins is going to be speaking at. Okay, that's a very good idea, Mr. Luna. Let's hear from our stakeholder here and then move on with the language.
I had suggested to Mr. Robbins when I met with him that he send a letter to the community stating what this is, which is very well written in this letter that's available now. I think that would help ease the fear, but to your point, which is I agree with, is it starts out this way. I don't know how it ends up in 3 months, 6 months, 5 years. I don't know that at this point they've purchased the house. 6 people can live there. I don't know that we even have that option, but I'm willing to work with Monica and you to Kathy to revise the impact statement. If the wording has to come from us and it doesn't come from the board,
it can come from the board. You can go ahead and redline it and then just email it.
But I think a letter to the community from Village Family Services would help with, you know,
To do
easing
the
the fear of who's gonna be there.
Candido, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just quickly, you know, we have someone from one community saying, we understand we can't take any more of these kind of programs. We have a representative, stakeholder from that area saying we can't take that anymore. Then we have someone on the board, Ms. Hopp, who's saying, and Ms. Hopp, I commend you for what you're saying, but let's say, can we change the location? What if we help you find another location? Ms. Hopp seems to be very friendly with this, and I agree with, I admire her for that. I admire her, because she's the kind of person that really cares about kids. We all care about kids. But what if we could find another location? We took it from where you're at now, and we placed it over in another location where the community wants it. Then it's a win-win situation. But the thing is, you're putting it back into a place where there's too much. Can we do that? Just answer that. Can you move it to
I
another
will
location?
take that back to the board, and
If you
I've
do that, let's
taken
move
all
to
the
another
information.
location.
I don't make these decisions individually by myself.
Okay.
Nor does Krista Brown. And we take the information and share
And I
it
think
with
if you can do that, you'll have the support of this entire community. Because we want you to succeed. We want you to take care of our children. We want you to change lives. But not at the expense of, if this, you go to this community, it's one of the best.
Okay, so listen, just
Oh, there you
listen,
go. See, not my bad.
listen. Tell me if the board agrees with this language. Whereas the city of Van Nuys has an unhealthy concentration of mental health help centers and countless shelters, and whereas the neighborhoods of Kester Ridge and surrounding areas have previously and clearly identified the reasons for opposing the VFS emergency shelter at 14926 Kittredge. The VNNC stands with the neighbors and agrees Van Nuys is saturated with these facilities. The VNNC looks forward to continuing the work on this issue.
I have an issue with
That
it.
sounds good.
I do
Okay.
too, I'm sorry, no.
Some of the wording.
Okay.
My issue is the word unhealthy. Simply, I think that as a.
Has a concentration. How
An
about
over-concentration.
An over
Yeah, I just-
concentration?
I don't want to use the word unhealthy.
Okay, I like it, I like it.
Refugees, and they're not refugees.
Okay, that's fine. The city of Van Nuys has a
Abundance.
abundance. And in abundance, okay,
That's too many.
yes, okay, the city of Van Nuys has an abundance of mental health. That's a,
having a difficult time tying this particular
I'm sorry, hold on.
It's holiday season, what's wrong with you people?
Thank you, Jeanette, that was very nice. Charles?
tying mental health to this facility.
Not,
Okay.
that's what I keep saying.
Okay, so then what we can do is we can minus this address and put the community impact statement on record as saying that we all are well aware of the saturation of these facilities and that we want to work on this issue. Can we take out the address?
He's excluded from this, what you're saying.
I thank you, but he is
I
a
think we
stakeholder
better work
just
on
like you and me and everyone else.
I
Do we
haven't
have, do we,
spoken yet. I
thank you,
haven't spoken
okay,
yet. I
thank
like
you
to
very
know.
much, thank you.
Quiet!
Hold on.
Can I have
Maria,
No, you don't.
Maria
You don't have the floor.
is recognized, Maria.
So what are their age groups? Is it 18 to 25? And what are they gonna be? Kids, how do the kids or young people get placed there? They get placed there through what?
Through our program, we're a foster care agency providing safety and permanency to children and youth. That's our
Stay on the
mission.
program for
So
Christ's
it's
sake.
not like there's a drug use, there's.
No.
We're not a substance abuse provider.
Okay, well, I can say, I stayed in a girls' home out in East LA in Princeton Center. So I believe in different, organizations and camps like this. If they're even willing to have someone go out and just, if the board feels that y'all wanna go door to door, I will go door to door, I will help, I'll make sure that they go door to door, put some envelopes so that way we can have a meeting with the community. If the board feels that if they get the 6 people, I don't know. I was told that if you don't need a permission from us,
You
even
don't.
if you get the 6
That's right.
So,
We should do it.
is there a board member that's willing to go
I think we're creating agenda items right now.
Volunteer, I mean, I'm
That's something
willing,
for
I
another
live in
agenda.
the area.
That's fine, we can, we can address this till the cows come home.
Wait, I have a question though, another question. Now, when the people are there, they're living there, now is there a staff there?
Yes.
Yes. That's what he said.
Well, you said of course, but some people said that there wasn't and they could come back and say.
So the facts, we put them all in
There
writing.
you go.
Are we happy with the language if we minus the address? This is where we are. Whereas the city of Van Nuys has an abundance of mental health help centers and countless shelters, and whereas the neighborhoods of Kester Ridge have previously and clearly identified the reasons for opposing additional mental health centers.
What was the reason?
Well, we can't call it a mental health center.
It's
What,
not a
what can we
mental
call?
health center.
Okay, one at a time. Let's all be adults here,
Sir,
people.
My
Yes.
name is Gabrielle, and if you replace mental health for human behavior, it's the same thing, but it sounds more human behavior. I studied psychology.
What would be the most generic language to put in instead of mental health help center?
Foster care home. That's what it is. It's
How about-
not mental
how about-
health. It's
how about-
nothing
Why
to
are
do
you
with mental
yelling
health.
at me?
How about
Because
call-
that's what this
How about
says.
Time
calling
out.
it what it is?
Time out.
Right.
Rehab.
We need, somebody needs a cowbell. We need more cowbell.
It's not rehab, it's
We're gonna
not
need,
mental health.
Joseph's getting a cowbell for Hanukkah. I hope everyone knows that. So this will be the last time we're going through this. Okay.
Can we just move on and try to figure out?
How about would you have any objection to tabling the community impact statement till January, or? Okay, is that fine? Okay.
We come up with the names.
I do like the discussion and debate though, guys. I do enjoy this. I'm gonna go home and watch C-SPAN after this. I hope you all know that. Okay, so, Monica, will you take this back to your neighborhood and say that you're slowly getting us to see the light and we're on board? And then,
Come up with the names.
okay. All right, I will send you what I have so far. Charles?
Yes, sir.
Will you please take back to the powers that be in your organization where we are in our discussion and debate tonight? And we're looking for more outreach from VFS, right? Is that what the resolution was here? Team Van Nuys?
We have a working group that's working together on this to
Well,
come back to.
We are.
Our summit a week from today is based on all of this.
Yes,
We
all of
have
this.
We have experts in the field coming. We have an expert flying in from Boston to speak to this council next week. So I'm happy to put this as part of the summit next week so we can argue in front of more people.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah,
Yes,
so it can be till.
yes,
two.
and maybe be on KCal 9, huh?
Yes, yes, yes.
There you go. So without further ado,
I just have one question.
talk to me.
I'm curious because.
Can you stand up, please?
Yeah, I'm just curious because there's been some things so there's questions that were asked and we were answered. But my question is that can we be put on the agenda? Is there a way for us to talk about what this house really is?
Absolutely.
And what we're trying to do as opposed to you talk to the mental health department, you
Did you
got this
do this
answer?
already?
Yes.
Because there is a program within the mental health department that is exactly what you're speaking of, but it's not our program.
There you go.
So if you're going out and you're gathering signatures to stop us from doing what we're doing, I think that making sure that the information that you're presenting when you get those signatures
We like that.
is accurate.
Good.
So there's concerns about how close it is to a school. There's also laws that affect that. And so if we're not able to have a two-way dialogue and it's
No, I like
constant debate,
three-way
then
dialogues,
it's
four-way
hard.
dialogues.
Because I think that there are good things on both sides.
Okay, so how about this? How about
Maybe
this?
put on the agenda
How
to
about
also
this?
speak.
Charles goes on the summit agenda next week. Monica reaches out to everyone in her neighborhood to come to the summit. We have every bigwig in the world coming to this next week, and we hash it out at the summit. Would that be okay?
It's very close to Christmas.
We're not gonna be able.
Okay, well, okay, yes, and then,
With that going to be.
okay, so look, here's what we're gonna do.
We would be okay if that got punted to January.
Okay,
We feel that the summit, really that the focus of that should be the presentation.
Right.
okay, that's fine.
Russell,
So,
Yes. We'll do it.
that's
on
what we'll do. We will
January.
table this. We will table this. Monica will reach out to her troops. Charles will report back to the general over at VFS. And we will slowly slog through this and get to the bottom of it.
In January.
And we will continue representing the Van Nuys people with Monica's
Doing
approval.
one
Yes,
We
very
want to be
good.
represented.
All right, yes, Penelope and then Kathleen,
Both of you for
being adults.
adults, Monica, Charles, you guys, you handled your
Yay!
All right, group hug, group hug. We're gonna have a
Come
group
on,
hug.
check hands.
Everyone, group hug.
All right, let's
Candy,
move
we're
on to
gonna
C.
hug. All right,
This
so we're
young lady
tabling
wants to
this.
say
Kathleen has her
something,
hand
too.
up.
Kathleen Padden, and then we're moving on to the next agenda item. Kathleen.
Okay, I have a question with these 6, they'll be all male, right?
Correct.
Okay, what do they do from morning till night? What is the plan for
Fight.
them? Is it at school?
Steal.
Is it,
Yeah,
are they working?
it's all of that. So there will be someone on site 24/7.
Quiet down, please.
There'll be someone on site 24/7 with the youth who are living there. In the morning, you're talking, they have options. So if they're enrolled in school, they would be responsible to go to school. If they're working, they would be responsible to go to work. If none of those things are happening, then they would be going to our drop-in center, which I think Charles had opened up an invitation for everyone to tour the drop-in center. At the drop-in center, we have life skills class, we do breakfast, we have snacks, we do
Sure.
those kinds of things. So there would, the youth would not be in that house at any time, not supervised. Does that answer your question?
Well, not quite.
Okay.
If they're not attending school, and if they're not working, and if they're not at a drop-in, then.
Those are the only
No,
options
those
they
are the
have.
only options.